Please, can we see your photo?
Yes, of course. You can all see me. Hello.
Hello, hello. So I'm not going to switch on my camera. My signal is not that great. We're all working from home still. But it's my very, very great pleasure to introduce our guest speaker for today's session. And it is Wendy Monkley. So Wendy is the CEO of Digital Content Lab, and I'm sure she's going to elaborate on that title that she gave herself. Her areas of expertise is digital marketing, which include content creation, digital design, social media setup, and digital auditing. Wendy has over 30 years of professional experience in the marketing, consulting, and education sector. And she is also our course developer and head tutor on our very popular Advanced Digital Marketing Certificate course. We are delighted to have Wendy speak to our audience today and our alumni, and I'm sure we're all going to learn a lot, as we always do when we deal with Wendy. Very welcome, Wendy, and over to you.
Thanks, Charmaine. I'm quickly going to share my screen. Those are words you all hear a lot lately. Can you see my screen? So let's see if you can see my screen. The host needs to enable screen sharing, please. Maria?
It's done, Wendy. You're able to share now.
Thank you. Right, so there we go. Let's see. Can you guys see? Just give me a shout out.
Yes, we can.
Awesome. Then we'll get going. So, thank you, Charmaine, and thank you, IMM, for this opportunity to chat to everyone. I see some of my students are on already, so that's cool. Hi, guys, you already know me. But for those that don't know me, I'll quickly introduce myself further to what Charmaine's already said. So yes, I'm the CEO. I thought it actually started as a joke when I started my business, and my people all called me the CEO. So I thought, oh well, let's just make it official. It sounds quite cool. And it's actually gone down quite well because, you know, there's a big focus on empowering women in business, and I do a lot of work with small businesses, and a lot of them are female startup businesses. So the CEO title actually carries my positioning very well, as you know, in that space. So yes, I have 30 years in marketing experience, and yes, I have an MBA. You know, they say, how do you know that someone has an MBA? It's because they tell you. Okay, so they have told you. And I have agency experience. I'm very fortunate in that I've worked on the agency side as well as on the client side of marketing. And I can reminisce about some of the good old bad days, you know, in the agency space. Some of our clients were furniture retailers, and we'd have to, you know, literally get in our cars, drive all the way to the customer in Braamfontein, sit through a very boring brief, which was literally pieces of paper that they'd scribbled together, which kind of resembled a furniture catalogue. We'd then have to go back to the office, and on our very big, clunky Apple Mac computers, we'd have to, you know, mock them up and design them and back and forth to the client. And, you know, even things like radio and TV commercials, it was all done the old school way. So that's kind of where I've come from. And then I had to move into the, you know, the digital side of things. And, you know, from days where there were no digital channels, and that's why I put there, what the, you know, is that even possible? Can you imagine a world with no digital marketing? But about 10 years ago, I started pivoting my skills, and the way I did it was, first of all, I started teaching it. And when you have to teach it, you have to learn it very quickly. And I started, and you guys can apply this, I've told this to a lot of my students as well. If you just read one thing a day on the topic that you want to be an expert in, then you will very quickly become the person that knows the most in the room. And that's really what I've done. I've self-taught a lot. Because when I started trying to learn digital marketing, there were no textbooks. There was no sort of benchmark to fall back on. So yeah, I worked in corporate for many years, and that's the client side. I worked for banks, I've worked for insurance companies, I've done franchise marketing, education marketing, I even did some telecommunications marketing, and yeah, financial services, direct marketing. So I've really dabbled in all these areas. I've been around quite a bit. And then I decided, no, it's time to actually step into my own thing. And that's when I started Digital Content Lab. So it's almost 3 years now. And our positioning is really, we're an outsourced partner to in-house marketing teams. Because what I realized as someone who was client side and actually a marketing director is that there's always a gap in your in-house and internal team. And we kind of, well, I built this business to fill that gap. And it so turned out that we do that in all aspects, whether it's video production or social content or a simple infographic. We're the guys they turn to when they need something, and usually in a hurry. So it's a fun game to be in, and it's very diverse and dynamic. But yeah, then as Charmaine pointed out, I'm also a part-time academic, and like I said, some of you know me from the advanced digital marketing course, the 10-month course. It's an amazing course. I'll tell you what, it's the best one in the country, because I researched that thing backwards, inside and out, before I developed it, and it's very practical. So if you are looking for something to upskill in, that's a great place to start. But that's enough about me. Let's get into why we're all here. So if you look at this digital space we're in now, and for those that are working in industry, or even, as a student, you feel like in this space you're forever juggling the balls. There's so much going on. There's digital technology, new innovations. I mean, the latest is TikTok, social media exploding everywhere. And you often hear, if you don't have digital marketing down, then you're never going to succeed. Okay, and we hear this all the time. So this puts a lot of pressure on marketers. And it's things like SEO and paid ads and content, and you just don't know where to start. There's just so much lingo, and there's so much going on in this space. And then, basically as a marketer, you've got to keep your existing thing going. You've got this, what I call the marketing sausage machine, and you're trying to, get new customers in, trying to keep the customers happy that are already customers. But then on top of that, you've got all these projects, and it's usually to do with new technology and how do you, transform your business, and how do you transform the way you do marketing. So the question is, what do you do? Where do you start? What do you do with all this activity going on? How do you deal with this pressure where you have to always adopt something or something new? Besides the steep learning curve, what do you do? How do you keep abreast? And, you get this overwhelming feeling of FOMO. You all know FOMO, I'm sure, and that you're getting left behind. And the message I'm going to tell you today is just stop, take a break, take a deep breath, and take a step back. Okay, let's take a step back, and then let's look at this thing properly. And let's first understand where digital marketing fits into this whole thing. Is it a strategy? Is it a tactic? Is it marketing? Is this the new way of marketing? Or is it a promotion? Okay, and I say this because I deal with people, very senior people in very big businesses every day, and a lot of them can't actually answer this question. And even before the Internet of Things, there was this confusion between marketing and advertising. A business owner would say, I need to market my business, but what he actually means is he needs to put an advert in the newspaper. So let's just be clear from the start that marketing and advertising are not the same thing. Okay. And then let's look at digital in a little bit more detail now and see how the bringing in of digital technology has blurred this line even further. So before we had this issue of people thinking marketing is advertising, and now it's actually worse because of digital. And when we think of social media, we think it is marketing, but it's not. Okay, that's what I'm telling you. That's my key message today. It's actually just communication. All right. And yes, communication is part of marketing, but it's one very, very small component of marketing. So let's talk more about this concept that marketing is more than communication. What is marketing? Now, we all know that it's actually about understanding things, your market, the category inside your market, the customer in the category in your market, and how you position your product so that that customer is attracted to your product. And that informs your brand and your pricing. And then distribution is all about how you're going to get that product to your customer. And this is strategic, okay? This is where we start talking, you all know the famous 4 Ps of marketing. So marketing is actually the strategy that ties all of this stuff together. And you can see it's not just about communication. I haven't even put communication in this list because it's the last P, which is promotion. Right, so marketing strategy must come first. So marketing first and then your tactics. So when you've got a marketing strategy, then you can decide what promotion you're going to do and what channels and what platforms you're going to be using. So you can see where I'm going with this, that digital marketing is just a channel, it's just a communication platform that helps us to fulfill our strategy. So when you hear things like content strategy, that's where we get confused because, but hang on a sec, you said it was a tactic, okay? So, and Facebook strategy and social media strategy, and it goes on, SEO strategy. But these are all just communication tactics. And yes, you do actually need these tools and you need a strategy for each one, okay? But those must each support the overarching marketing strategy. And then remember that digital, it's important, but it's not the only tool that we have in our toolbox, okay? So if you think of your communication mix as a big fat toolbox, and inside there you've got TV and radio and billboards and popcorn boxes, you know, and then digital stuff as well, Facebook and Instagram and Google ads and whatever you want to add in there. All of these are tools that we as marketers can use. We reach into our toolbox and say, okay, that's my customer. I need this tool to talk to them because that's where that customer is. Okay, so we don't just go digital because it's a trend, and if we're not on TikTok, we're not going to survive. We're strategic about it. We say, I know my strategy, I know my customer, this is who they are, this is where they are, and this is the tool out of my toolbox that I'm going to use to talk to them. Okay. So we need a strategy for each of them, but within that, remember the overarching strategy, and that everything we do, everything we pull out of that toolbox, if it's not contributing to achieving your marketing objectives, your strategy, then you shouldn't be doing it. So why all the confusion? You know, why has digital technology made us even more confused and blurred the lines between this marketing versus advertising discussion? And the real reason is because digital technology doesn't just impact the communication mix, okay? It actually has impacted every single mix element. So, for example, if you look at product and a company like Netflix, I mean, their product is online, okay, it's digital. If you look at distribution, Takealot, they don't have any retail outlets, okay? So you can see these product and distribution are mixed strategy elements, and they inform your marketing strategy. So this is where the lines are blurred a bit, and this is why we're confused, because There's stuff happening in the mix level of the strategy, and there's stuff happening in the toolbox, the communication toolbox. And as marketers, we need to clarify and divide them, and we need to be able to distinguish between which is which. Otherwise, we're just so confused and we don't know where to start. And that's why I'll keep bringing you back to have a strategy, all right? And I'll show you just now how to go about that. But further to the mix, we've also now, just to make it even more complex, we've now added more mix elements, okay? You can't just build a marketing strategy on 4 Ps anymore because of digital technology. You have to have additional Ps in there. You have to have the people P. And that's all about your people that are supporting your online business. You know, how does your customer service work? Your processes, how does your returns process work? Okay. How are you going to support people through Facebook Messenger? How are you going to connect your call centers into your Google Forms? Okay, you can see how processes have to tie in with your bigger strategy now. Your physical evidence. Now, if you're trading online, what evidence can you give to your customer that you're a legit business? And you see things like testimonials coming through very strongly. When you look for a place to eat, you know, a restaurant, the first thing you do is you go look at the ratings. When you're buying something on Takealot, you go see what other people have said about that product. That's physical evidence. And then partnerships are a big thing online. You partner with other companies and other influencers or affiliates, marketing companies that can help you to reach more people. So you can see how we can easily get confused because these are all strategic mix elements, but they're also very much influenced by digital technology. So now it's a time for some self-reflection. So if you are marketers out there and you're thinking now, wow, where am I at with this whole thing? Here's what I have to ask you. Is have you developed a blind spot? Now, whether you're the traditional marketer that hasn't maybe pivoted your skills and you're afraid of the new digital way, and I put you don't or you won't fully understand it, and it's a mental block, you've got to actually take that step. Or maybe you're a new age marketer and you've got a blind spot for traditional marketing. And I see this a lot. It's these new funky people. And I don't blame them because that's all they've learned, you know. They don't understand the traditional way of marketing. But trust me when I tell you this, that you need both, okay? And I have experience in both, and I have experience in integrating both. And you need to stop sacrificing one for the other. You actually need to find a way to pull out the right tool, communication tool for the right customer, and integrate your efforts across both online and offline communication. Right, and then we can all relate to this one. Don't only focus on sales. Now, the temptation with digital is it's all about bottom of the funnel clicks. That's all we're interested in. We want those conversions, bottom of the funnel, people fall through, you know, they click on your ad and then we want them to actually buy. And that's what we call bottom of the funnel. And it's like the new drug of choice today. It's like what everybody wants and it's what everybody's after. And it's what businesses are paying for nowadays, is that final click that says, I've not only put your product in the cart, I've bought it and I'm now your customer. So today's climate, we're trading in very difficult times. There's no doubt about it. So the temptation is to become very sales focused. And we must try and resist that as marketers. Yes, there's a big, strong sales drive, but in the background, we should still be thinking about the long-term strategy. And we should definitely not lose focus on our customer. So ask yourself, as a business owner or as a marketer, when last did you properly engage with your current customers? And I'm talking in a meaningful way. I'm not talking about serving them over a counter or dealing with their complaint online, but a meaningful conversation with your customer, to understand what it is they like about your product. Why do they buy your product? And more importantly, what don't they like about your product? How can you improve? How can you adapt? Is there anything you should be innovating to make their experience with you better? And then that can drive your digital strategy. Okay. And then what is your unique point of difference? Because you need that. You need to understand what it is that makes you different. Otherwise, you're just going to become another vanilla company. And we're seeing that a lot in every single industry. It's a me too, I'm the same. And everyone's using the same words, the same lingo. And, we're all living in unprecedented times. How many times have you heard that recently in an advert? All right, so a quick recap. We're juggling lots of balls. We're struggling to keep up. The marketing and the communication concepts are still being blurred. We are very focused on sales at the moment. We have definitely developed blind spots. We don't interact with our customers enough. We are possibly neglecting some communication channels that could benefit our business, and we don't have a marketing strategy that supports our digital communication. We're just shooting from the hip. And the question is, what now? What do we do about it? Okay, and the good news is that the tried and tested process has not changed. Okay, we start with research. We look at our situation. And we're talking about the macro, the market, the micro environments, especially now with COVID having hit every single economy in the world. We have to be doing this. If we did it 2 months ago, it's old. You've got to do it again. Look at your competitors, look at your customer, but focus a lot on your customer because their behavior has changed the most. And then we've got to identify key issues that we want to solve with our communication. And then after that, if we want to find out more information, that's when we do primary research. Primary research can be very expensive, but it can be quite important for you to uncover your key insights. And the key insights about your customer, what makes them think, what makes them buy your product. Those are the things that will drive your strategy. So it's very important that through this research process, you uncover those key insights. And from there, you develop your segmentation strategy, your target marketing strategy, and your positioning strategy. And you come up with your big idea, which you then only take into your communication. Okay, so you can see how much has to happen before you even get to that toolbox and choosing which channel, which digital channel you're going to be using to communicate to your customer. Then you follow that up with your budget, you implement it, evaluate all the time, control it, but then while you're doing that, you're going back to the top. So it's always, where do you start? At the beginning. Whenever you're in doubt about your strategy, go back to the beginning. It's a cycle. It's an always learning cycle, and you always have to be adapting. But please remember, the key message today is marketing strategy first, communication and tactics second, and always, always integrate the online and the offline. Okay, and that's pretty much my presentation for today. I hope you've enjoyed it, and you guys can ask me any questions now if you want to, or give me some feedback.
Thank you, Wendy. That was great. That was really excellent information. Does anyone have any questions? You can unmute yourself and just ask Wendy. It's easier than typing in the chat box.
Hi, it's Claudine. I do have a question.
Come on, guys, a question. I'm sure you've got a question.
Sorry, Wendy, I'm not too sure if you can hear me.
Oh, I can't hear you.
Okay, sorry, I'm gonna have to check this one. I think my audio is a bit of a mess.
Okay, you can type it, yeah. Anyone else with a question or a comment? Do you agree with me? Has anybody encountered this problem themselves?
Wendy, I think if you have a look at what's happening with the big brands now, they are becoming very, very focused in their marketing. And I think you and I had a discussion a while back about a big international brand that's taken the decision to go away from advertising other than just purely something like influencer marketing to create, have others create their content. Personally, given my experience in the industry, I think that's a bit short-sighted. What's your view on that when a big brand like that takes such a cut on their marketing budget and only does a single-focused marketing effort?
Anissa, I would say it's a mistake. And the temptation is there always to, you know, cut out traditional media because it does tend to be a lot cheaper and a lot, it takes, the lead times are a lot longer. So you've got to, like a TV promotion, you've got to have a lead time of like 2-3 months, even magazines, you know. And yeah, the world has changed, but it worries me that they're only online because if you look at the world population, a lot of people aren't online. So unless they can prove that their customer is only online, then fine, then I'll buy it. But otherwise, I don't buy it because what about brand building outside of that space? And surely, I know which company you're talking about, and they have physical products they're retailing.
Yeah.
How are they going to push people into their stores that are selling their product? And how are they going to get them to try their products without offline promotion? That's, you know, so I don't think it's a cool idea myself.
Yeah, that's my view as well. And it's eroding the brand equity, which has a long-term effect, especially if you consider the history and the amount of investment they've placed in big brands like that in the past. Thanks, Wendy.
Yeah, so I see we've got a question here. It says, I know you said that marketing and advertising is very different. However, can we say that advertising is an essential part of marketing? Yes, it definitely is essential. I mean, you have to be advertising, otherwise nobody will know about your products. So it's definitely an essential part. But what I'm saying is don't just advertise for the sake of advertising. First, understand who you're talking to so that you can align your message to the right person. Otherwise, you're actually just wasting your money. Thanks, Sasha. Thanks for your comments. I'm sure you can all see Sasha's comment. Brilliant presentation and very much aligns your points on using the right channel. That's awesome. Thanks, Sasha.
Hi, Wendy.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm good. I'm good.
Oh, thank you very much for this wonderful, comprehensive, high-level presentation. I have one question. I'm not quite sure if I was listening attentively, but it seems as if you are more focusing on the, I'm not sure I would say the private side of things. But my question would be, how do you think we can then align what you have just presented, which is the digital marketing within government entities and also government itself? Because we have an issue of where people would say our government is not communicating with us. How do we then use digital marketing or digital communication to okay, for the benefit of the people? Can this be embedded within how government communicate with the people?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, government marketing is very unique, and it's very different to, you know, commercial business, etc. But the fundamentals are the same. You know, government has objectives they need to fulfill. They have a strategy, and their communication also needs to support that strategy. So whether it's health awareness, let's use COVID as an example, and they need to communicate that versus they need to communicate awareness around environmental issues, whatever it may be, they can definitely make use of digital channels. But if you look at the demographic of South Africa, you will see, I think the stat is something like only 40% of people are really online all the time because of the limited access to data. Okay, so they may have smartphones, but it doesn't necessarily mean that they have data. And therefore, my advice to government is to have a very robust offline communication strategy supported by a digital communication strategy, not the other way around.
Thank you very much.
Pleasure.
Thank you, Wendy. Can I just ask, will you make this presentation available to us, please, so we can share it with the delegates?
Yes, of course. With pleasure. Yes, with pleasure, no problem.
If you want a copy of this presentation, please will you just put your email address in the chat section and we'll send it to you afterwards.
Awesome. Thanks everyone for attending. I really enjoyed giving you this talk, and I sincerely hope that you take something out of it and apply it, no matter whether you're a student or, as I said, in industry. So thank you so much.
Thanks, Wendy. Goodbye, everyone. See you next month.
Thank you.